Hello everybody and welcome to a new player tip video with myself and Eric. Today I have some new player tips for you, the viewers at home, but also for Eric, as Eric is continuing to learn, and dare we even say slowly but surely master Arkham Horror the card game. I also believe I am slowly but surely mastering Arkham Horror the card game, but I'm still ways off. So Eric, you'll get there one day just like me, and you and I will be two of the four heads on Arkham Mount Rushmore, along with a Yithian and a Gug.
I'm so glad that we've included Travis and Bryn.
Yeah, I mean, we had to. So, Will Yorick is a survivor. He's the gravedigger with 3 brain, 2 book, 4 fist, and 3 foot. He soaks for 8 and 6, and as a reaction, after you defeat an enemy, play an asset from your discard pile, paying its cost. So, Eric has always said that they love black in Magic the Gathering.
I do.
This is just classic graveyard shenanigans. I have to say, it's a super flavor win as well. Like, the Gravedigger caring about their discard pile, I think is really clever. And I mean, like, they couldn't have been anything else, right?
No.
It's, like, perfect. The Elder Sign effect that Yorick has is legitimately one of the strongest Elder Signs in the game. +2, if this test is successful, return 1 card from your discard pile to your hand. What makes an Elder Sign really good is just incredible value, right? You also see this. Actually, it's very similar. Parallel Skids. Parallel Skids gets to return a level 2 or lower cost to his hand. Silas Marsh gets to commit a skill card from his discard pile to his hand. Anytime you get value like that from an Elder Sign is insane.
Yeah.
Absolutely insane. So, my first tip for Will Yorick is a pretty simple one. Yorick's ability doesn't provoke attacks of opportunity. This is actually, so in comparison, a few weeks ago, months ago at this point, we did Ursula Downs. And Ursula's did provoke attacks of opportunity because you're performing an investigate action. You're not performing an action here. You're not taking an action. You just, as a reaction, get to play an asset from your discard pile, which is why there is no attack of opportunity for it. Yeah, so nice and simple. If you're engaged with 2 enemies, you kill one of them, you can play a weapon or something else, another asset to deal
Are
them.
allies considered assets?
Allies are assets.
Oh, I love this black deck already.
Yeah. So the assets, so assets are allies, items, stuff like that, talents as well. Basically anything that's not an event or a skill is just how that works.
Wow.
As the Gravedigger, it should be no surprise that Yorick's discard pile is his best friend. With clever play, you can take advantage of ability in a variety of powerful ways. Your goal is to play something for your discard pile each round you kill an enemy. Like with any investigator, your goal should be to trigger the investigator ability as much as you can. Otherwise, why are you playing the investigator? Of course, things can change. As you know, I know, as we just experienced, the game can throw you a large variety of curveballs at any given time. So this is not going to happen all the time. But like with Parallel Skids, as I said, you want to be gambling every turn. With Will Yorick, basically every round you kill at least 1 enemy, you want to be playing something from your discard pile. But luckily, with these tips, I'm going to make it as easy as possible for you to achieve this goal. Look for assets that discard themselves or soak damage for you. So obviously, as Eric pointed out, the allies is really strong for that, right? Because they're going to soak for you, they're going to die. Soaking means they're taking the damage and horror for you. Mm-hmm. They're going to die, and then you can kill an enemy and bring him back. So Schaffner's Catalog and Bandages are 2 great examples of cards that discard themselves. This is also really good because you can use them, discard them, and then play them again.
Bandages is actually listed as a suggested card?
Yeah, well, so Bandages is insane healing. It's some of the best healing in the game. And it becomes even better when you can play it multiple times, right? So Schaffner's Catalog, it pays for item assets, which are going to be the majority of the assets that you're going to be playing. And when you can keep recurring Schaffner's Catalog, because they discard themselves when you run out of secrets, it comes even better. There was a moment when Bryn and I were playing, and he was playing Will, and I was playing Bob, or Yorick. We call him by his last name. We had 3 bandages in play, so you take 1 damage and heal 2. It was the funniest interaction. And then he was Will Yorick, so of course when his bandages run out, he just plays them again. Tetsuo Mori, this can be like pretty much most allies, but Tetsuo is just easy to soak, and he also has a bonus when he does die. So like Tetsuo is really good with Will Yorick as well. But that should be no surprise, because just like any ally is good with Will Yorick.
Wait a minute, how does the Red Gloved Man work with Will Yorick?
Favorably.
Excellent.
He would.
Okay.
The only for once, it would probably be a cool deck, to be honest. It probably would be. He doesn't get like the boost that other people would, but he is playing from the discard pile. I'm pretty sure anyway. Do I have my neutral binder here? I do.
I've derailed this entire discussion.
I mean, it's a great thing. So yeah, after your display, at the end of the Mythos phase, discard the Red Glove Man. Yeah, you could feasibly just keep playing him again and again and again. He does cost 2, which is cheaper for those, but yes, you could do that. That is a loop you could do. And Will Yorick's also a survivor, so you could play the chance encounters to keep bringing them. Let's get back on track here. So cards that constantly find themselves in your discard pile can be used multiple times. So that's kind of like the key thing that we're talking about with Yorick here. And speaking of those 3 cards, Schaffner's, Bandages, and Tetsuo, our next tip is play assets that can fill the same spots as events in Will Yorick. So we have here them compared to Emergency Cash, which is kind of what Schaffner's is. It's 2 costs, but you get 5 resources. So you're essentially getting 3 resources for items. Second Wind is Healing. Prepared for the worst can find weapons, which is something that Tetsuo can also do. This is not to say that like you shouldn't run these cards in your Will Yorick deck, but like if you're looking at your deck and you're finalizing this up and you have 2 cards left and you want some healing and you haven't played Bandages yet, Bandages is the better choice than Second Wind. If you're looking at cutting some economy, I probably would cut, like, depending on the number of items in your deck, if you're playing a heavy item deck, Schaffner should go over Emergency Cash, right? Tetsuo, likewise, for all that kind of stuff. So it's just, this isn't like an always run one over the other, but assets kind of can act like events in Will Yorick because he's going to be playing them so often.
It's interesting, too, because it means that in a weird way, he can almost break the card economy with things like being like, I'm going to run 2 emergency assets and a Schaffner's catalog.
Yeah.
Because then it's like running 3 emergency caches.
So the big thing about Yorick is that he is probably the least killable investigator. It's very hard to kill him. Because of the way he can recur his soak. And you're going to see that with some cards coming up here. But he just breaks the evaluations of cards. Because in other people, Schaffner's and Bandages are pretty standard. Yeah. But in someone who can play them indefinitely, it's very powerful. 0 cost assets ensure that you almost always have something to play with Yorick's ability. These are 2 staples. And not only are they 0 cost, but they're easy to get into your discard pile and they keep them forever. So, Leather Coat, Cherished Keepsake, both cost 0. Both take up slots that you're probably not going to be using, and both soak for 2 damage and 2 horror. So this is why Yorick is very hard to kill, because you kill one teddy bear and he has another one on backup. You tear one of his leather coats, he's got another one waiting for you just to like put on at the next moment.
Underneath.
Yeah, so it's. And this isn't even getting to the things where he can also run Peter Sylvester and Jessica Hyde, which also heal damage and horror. And if they die, he can just play them again. Yorick's good is kind of like what this all boils down to. He's very good. He's an excellent tank. He's a great fighter. And he's also really fun. Because even though his ability is very good, I wouldn't say he's broken. I think he's a very fair investigator.
Well, I mean, there's so many ways to lose that aren't just dying.
Yeah, exactly, right? But yeah, so 0 cost assets, it should be pretty obvious. They're good because you can always play them. And if you're looking at playing something for every time you kill an enemy, you can even just replace the leather coat that you have on with the one from your discard pile, because it could just like heal 1 damage that would be on it.
Yeah.
Short Supply gives you an additional 10 cards in your opening hand. So Short Supply is an Edge of the Earth permanent that you buy it at deck creation, and when the first turn of the game begins, you discard the top cards of your deck. Now, you might be thinking, but what if I get rid of my super awesome signature, which we're about to see? Don't worry, just draw an Elder Sign and it goes back into your hand.
Yeah.
That's the crazy thing, right? Like, this is like with Bryn, he was like, I don't care if I ever hit my signature in this, because odds are I'm going to either reshuffle or I'm going to hit the Elder Sign and then be able to get it back. So Short Supply, what it does is it might sound scary because your deck is smaller or you're losing cards, but it's completely not true at all for Will Yorick, right? Because that just means you have 10... Like, imagine like a Magic the Gathering deck which just like a black recursion deck, a reanimator deck, which just had a card that at the start of the turn mill the top 10 cards of your deck.
Or like start of the game.
Yeah, start of the game.
Yeah. This is your turn. This is your
yeah.
turn 0 action.
Yeah.
Why does short supply exist for anybody else?
So a lot of survivors. Mm-hmm. There's a card called Scavenging. Where you can there's a lot of discard pile synergy.
It wasn't just built to just superpower Will Yorick.
No, it's actually playable in a lot of survivors.
Okay, good. I'm feeling better about that because otherwise I was like, what is this? This is Will Yorick bait.
There's actually a few survivors. There's actually very few survivors where I wouldn't consider playing it in.
Oh, fascinating.
Yeah. All right, let's take a quick stop and look at Yorick's signatures. We have Bury Them Deep and Graveyard Ghouls. Bury Them Deep is play after a non-elite enemy location is defeated. Add that enemy and this card to the victory display. Yorick is the only investigator that I can think of on the top of my head that gives you victory as part of his signature, which is such cool design space that I wish they did more of because it's really fun. So you're just gonna neutralize an enemy, take it out forever, and you get 1 victory for the process. Graveyard Ghouls, it's a 3/3/2 hunter. While it's engaged with you, cards cannot leave your discard pile. Nice, stops him from doing things. But I have a little tip for each of these cards for you. With Bury Them Deep, don't worry too much about waiting for the perfect enemy. Just get that victory locked, right? Bryn has used it on rats before. A 1 attack, 1 health enemy. Just get it out of there, get the victory, and just don't worry about it.
Yeah, the benefit of this is not just removing it to the victory display. That's a great side benefit if you've got something scary and it happens to be the right time. The benefit of this is gaining an additional XP.
Yeah, for everybody.
For every session.
Yeah, for everybody. So it's just one of those things that you're just going to get. And there also has a William Shakespeare Hamlet quote on it, so what's not to love? Because Will Yorick, as you all know, is a failed Shakespearean actor. So yeah, just fire it off. Obviously, if you can kill a scary enemy, it feels that much sweeter. But, to be honest, beggars can't be choosers sometimes, and you should just take that extra VP. With Graveyard Ghouls, you can use Yorick's ability after you kill your Graveyard Ghouls, which seems like a little bit of a mistake, right? Because, you can benefit from your weakness. But most of the time, Bryn actually says that he views Graveyard Ghouls as a positive. Because there can be times where it's bad, but also, say, for example, you haven't seen an enemy that round, but you draw Graveyard Ghouls during upkeep. Now you get to play something else from your discard pile.
I would also say that this is reasonably well balanced, though, because they have Hunter, so you don't want to get away from them. And what they really are there for is most weakness cards. They are there to pile on problems.
Yep, exactly.
So if you're Will Yorick and you're already engaged with 3 enemies and you're like, I've got this, I'm going to be fine, I'm halfway through my cycle, and then you pull this,
now
all of a sudden you're shut down.
And it also means that now this guy is probably your priority enemy.
Exactly.
Yeah. And then also a lot of weaknesses are kind of just 2-action weaknesses. This is also sort of a 2-action weakness.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. It's there to just stop you from just cause a problem, right? Give you a little roadblock, but you can still benefit from killing it. So that's great. Lastly, I want to offer some tips regarding Yorick's ability, defeat rules, and timing rules. Some of the sneaky rule stuff that I always like to end one of these videos with, where we get past the normal stuff and we talk about some of the rules interactions that you might not know. Enemies aren't just defeated by fight actions. So, in the rulebook, under defeat, if an enemy has as much or more damage on it as its health, that enemy is defeated and placed in the encounter discard pile. That means that the Guard Dog reaction, the Lantern discard ability, the Beat Cop Lightning Bolt, those all defeat enemies and can allow you to play something with Yorick's ability, which is really nice. Bryn's favorite thing sometimes is just you punch an enemy. Though Yorick is Bryn's favorite investigator, if people don't know that. But you punch a 3 health enemy, use Beat Cop, get something from your discard pile. Bryn plays Beat Cop a lot in his Will Yorick decks, and he constantly cycles them as well, right? He just has them kill themselves, and then he just gets new ones. So it's just one of those things that it's not just through a fight action or combat that enemies count as defeated. Anytime the damage is put on them by you defeat them. And our last thing is, if you discard a card as part of a cost when killing an enemy, you can play it from your discard pile with Yorick's ability. So, a good example of this is Knife, a card that we generally would say is not playable. but Yorick can play it really well for a multitude of reasons that Bryn has shown me the way. It's one cost, so it's cheap and easy to recur.
Yeah.
It discards itself, so it's one of those things where it's going to go in your discard pile. You can recur it again later. But the greatest thing... Oh, no, sorry. Before I get to the greatest thing. It also commits for a fist icon, which means you can put it on an earlier attack and then play it from your discard pile after it's been committed. But the thing that's really good about it is if you are using hand slot items that might use ammo or supplies, like chainsaw or a gun, knife can actually put it into your discard pile, because chainsaw takes up 2 hands. So you play knife from your discard pile, your chainsaw goes in, you kill someone with a knife, and you pull out a chainsaw. So it's one of those things that's like a really sneaky use of knife in Will Yorick.
That's wild.
Cornered. This one's pretty simple. You discard a card from your hand as a lightning bolt during a skill test. That happens before the enemy would be defeated.
And then it's an asset, so you can recur this card too.
You could recur that. And that's really nice with short supply because it means that you're likely to hit it. Yeah, definitely. And then Act of Desperation, where you have to discard an item asset like a gun. So you basically shoot someone with a gun, you throw the gun at them, you kill them, you rip the gun out of their body. That's how hard you threw it, because it's additional cost. You choose and discard an item asset that takes up at least 1 hand or slot from your play area, and Act of Desperation also gives you the resources to play the item, because you get resources equal to its cost. Will Yorick, baby.
Question then.
Yeah.
Is Will Yorick's biggest weakness then, especially if you start with those 10 cards folded over, is his biggest weakness when he reshuffles his deck?
Yes, 100%.
That is your weak point.
But with proper play, you can prepare for it.
Cool.
You'll generally... that is definitely when you have the biggest stress point as Will Yorick. And you generally see... it's hard to, play around it completely, but what Bryn likes to do is keep, don't kill his allies or, get rid of his big weapons until the shuffle happens, if he's getting close. Mm-hmm. But it's 100% true. That is the point where you have you basically just lose a big old pile of resources. Yeah. So you could play without short, if you don't have short supply in your collection, you're not going to be missing anything, but you will see that shuffle less. You'll just be slower to get going. Short supply is going to just hit that resource loss point quicker. It's a great observation because it is 100% true. And that's Will Yorick.
I love it. I can't wait to play Will Yorick.
That's what I told Travis and Bryn. My goal is for every time for me to finish this video and be like, that investigator sounds so cool. I can't wait to play.
I can't wait to try it.
And you know what? It actually even got Travis when Bryn was giving some of these pointers. Travis was like, I can't wait to play.
Oh yeah.
To play Will Yorick. Will Yorick's, I love him. One of my favorite decks I played was a Blessed Will Yorick deck that just felt absolutely like I was cheating. Because you know how there's Favor of the Moon?
Yeah.
There's Favor of the Sun, where you do Blessed tokens. But there is, you know how Blasphemous Covenant that you have in your Luke deck. I had Ancient Covenant in the Survivor deck, which is when you reveal a Blessed token, you stop, and you just pass. You just get +2 and you pass. So like Favor of the Moon, Favor of the Sun discards itself when you're out of tokens. So you just keep recycling Favor of the Suns and just pass whatever test you want.
Oh, that sounds so good.
It was I felt like I was cheating a little bit. Yeah, but
oh, that's so good.
Thanks for watching, everybody. In 2 weeks, Eric and I are going to be talking about Carolyn Fern. And this is a cool one. There's a lot of cool stuff that I was able to dig into Carolyn Fern. And Carolyn Fern is a healer, so there's going to be some cool things we can talk about in there. But thanks for watching, everybody. Have a good one, and as always, GG's.